Hey, good morning. This is Chad Wakefield, the Chief Champion of You from Revival Development Services. Wanted to talk a little bit about the timing for doing relocation plans. So part of my business is I work with affordable housing developers and public housing authorities as they're either renovating or they're redeveloping an asset. And when you've got an occupied building, whether you're using any sources of public funds or not, you really need a relocation plan. You need to sort of get down on paper a process of what it is you're going to do for those residents that are in that property. So as a practical matter, there's things you really need to do to keep your project on track and on schedule. But there may also be a lot of regulatory things you have to do as well. You know, if you're using federal money or you're using funds from a state or local government, or even in a case where the state or local government has its own policies and procedures on doing tenant relocations. California is an example of a state that has now a statewide requirement to provide some kind of compensation and assistance to people that are being displaced for some kind of action or activity that causes them to move, right? Displacement. In other cases, you are using some federal or some state money, and there's going to be a heavily prescribed way in doing that relocation. And so you have to be cognizant of all those things first of all. But again, just looking at it as a practical matter and taking care of human beings, it's good to write this stuff down, right? Whether you're forced to do it or not. And so it's one of those things that, in my opinion, you got to do it as early on in the process as possible. Basically, once you know you have a project, you got to start outlining how you're going to handle the tenant relocation. What notices are going to do, what kinds of support are you going to provide or need to provide, how are you going to handle those logistics, timing, all those things. You may not know everything, but if you wait until the last minute, then you're having to be on the defensive versus having a well thought out process. And that's really what a relocation plan forces you to do, is have a well thought out process, have a process at all in some cases, but a well thought out process how you're going to do things. They have a lot of value beyond just being a regulatory requirement. I've said it for years that it's as much of a communication tool and a management tool as it is a regulatory requirement. So if you're doing any kind of renovation or redevelopment of a property and you got people living in the units, I would recommend that you do a written relocation plan. A couple pages that gets your process down and in a format that you can communicate it to others, communicate to your team, your construction team, your management team. If you provide any kind of support services, all those people really need to be aware of what's going on, and it is the best way to do it, whether it's required or not. My opinion is just do one. If I can help you out in this regard, feel free to email me at Chad, so CHAD, at revivaldevelopmentservices.com. You can look me up on LinkedIn, Chad Wakefield. Make sure it's the Chief Champion of You, Revival guy, and not some other Chad Wakefield. Be happy to talk to you, consult with you, help you in any way I can. Thanks a lot.